This episode of At Your Own Pace is brought to you by Strava. Strava doesn't need an introduction, right? If you're a runner, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably use Strava and you probably use it to track all of your runs, to look at your fitness score, to look at your miles on your shoes, and to give kudos to all of your friends who are trying to run faster than you. But if you would like to save a little bit of money on your subscription, if you use the code Mike at checkout, you'll save 20% off of the cost of your subscription. So make sure you jump on this deal because 20% is not a small amount. And it is one of my favorite apps that I use and one of my favorite things that I use to stay in contact with fellow runners, whether it's the clubs that I utilize, like Mission Crew, or the number of challenges that I can take part in, which selling them and with either discount codes or potential giveaways. Strava is an all-in-one social media endurance. Strava is just an incredible mixture of tracking your data, tracking your information for all of your exercises, but also being able to give you the ability to support other people around you. So like I said, that's code Mike at checkout for 20% off. And I apologize for how disheveled my current office looks like. I am in the process of revamping it and have new furniture coming that I have to build still. And I'm going to be redoing this whole area. I'm apparently known as the guy with the yellow poster behind them. So we'll see if that remains what I'll be known for. But without further ado, let's get into the episode. Welcome back to At Your Own Pace. This is the show for runners who are showing up however they can on whatever week life is handing them. I'm Mike, and whether you're chasing a Boston qualifier, your first 5K, or just the next mile, you are in the right place. Usually, every Wednesday, we open up with a little real talk for my week on the run, and then we sit down with someone whose story is going to leave you a little bit more fired up than when you press play. But this week has been rough for me. I'll get into it in a second. So this is coming out Friday. I apologize for the wait, but it's been a week for me. So lace up, settle in, and let's run this one together. My guest today is runner, model, actress, plethora of things, Abigail Michelle. She, in my opinion, is one of the true definitions of resilience when it comes to what this podcast is all about and just what it means to push through the vast difficulties that life can handle you. She is a 6-star finisher. She just finished her 6-star journey in Boston this year and with the Chasing Stars program with Shocks. And it was a pleasure to meet her because I got to meet her in person at our shakeout run that we did before the marathon. And it's just been a real joy to learn about her story, follow her, see her tremendous success, and watch her grow as a runner and as a person, because the story that she has to share is one that is, I think, just very powerful, very, very powerful. And I'm excited for you to listen to it. I'm excited for us to jump into it. But before we get to Abigail, I want to start off with where we usually start off, which is just a check-in from how my week has been. And those of you that listen to the podcast or those of you that watch the video version of this podcast know that usually when I record these, I'm wearing some sort of running attire of some sort. Even when I interview people, I wear something that has to do with running, whether it's a marathon or just a shirt from a company that runners wear. And today I'm not. Today I'm wearing a shirt for the band The 12 Season, my favorite band in the world, and frontlined by my favorite singer in the world, Glenn Hansard. And some of you may have seen in the news that on Wednesday, and I'm really going to try to get through this section without crying. So if you don't want to hear someone get sappy and talk about a musician, feel free to skip and go right to the interview. But some of you may have seen on Wednesday morning that Glenn Hansard passed away in a motorcycle accident. And for me, it has been absolutely devastating. I'm not the kind of person to hold other people up on pedestals anymore. I used to, and realize that a lot of times your expectations of that person get broken, or things come out about them that you can't forgive or come up with some sort of way to get around it. But Glenn has been different for me my entire life. I discovered him back in about 2006, 2007, when I decided to watch this movie that a lot of people were recommending on Netflix at the time, which was when you had to have the DVDs mailed to you in order to watch the movie. Yes, kids, we used to have physical media back in the day. But I remember we watched part of it in my dorm room. And I will say the first time we tried to watch it, we turned it off because we couldn't fully understand it because of how heavy the accents were. Granted, this was the very beginning of the movie. It's supposed to be like that. But I gave it another shot a few months later when I got my own apartment. And I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and we watched it, and I will never forget just the feeling of what it was like for me to hear Falling Slowly for the first time. It was one of the most incredible moments I have ever witnessed with music, where I saw two people come together and make the most beautiful harmonies with the most emotion I had ever heard in music before. I like to say that I grew up with music without words. Now, what does that mean? I was an instrumentalist growing up and a singer, and I was in band, marching band, jazz band, all-state band. I played in college bands when I was in high school. I was in choir, jazz choir. Like, I was in musical theater. I was in everything that had to do with the arts growing up. I played trumpet since I was in fourth grade. Initially, it was going to be a saxophone, but they didn't have any more, so I had to pick trumpet. And I stuck with that for the next, my goodness, what was I, like 9? So like 9 years. So until I was about 18. And I apparently was good. I didn't know at the time. I just somehow picked up music very quickly. It just became kind of second nature to me, was able to play it really well, read it really well. I even wrote music for a little bit and, loved singing. I grew up kind of singing to myself. No one in my family really knew that I could sing. And then I got a solo in a concert in 8th grade where my family came up to me afterwards and said, "Hey, where did that come from?" And I said, "I don't know." And then eventually my best friend forced me into doing the theater program in high school. And so I got to try out for musical theater, which I just fell in love with immediately. And it's still a big part of my life. And found out there too that I was apparently a good singer and got leads in musicals, both in the school and in community theater. It's one of the reasons why I moved to New York City to go to college, was to be a playwright. I was actually afraid to sing in front of an audition for college. And I did audition for the acting program my second year, did not get in, but I was actually terrified of singing for the musical theater program, which is odd because I'm pretty sure, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty sure I would have gotten in. But the music that I listened to was either video game music, instrumental music, musical theater, and then like whatever was on the radio. Like, I didn't have bands that I discovered. I didn't have a favorite band growing up. I had favorite composers of instrumental or musical theater. And that was kind of it. And so I made it a goal when I went to college to find the music that I really liked, the bands that I really liked. And it took a while of me kind of like fooling around. And I discovered that the people that I liked the most were the singers that were in England and the singers that were particularly in Ireland. And when I had always been in love with Ireland for as long as I can remember, and it's a massive goal of mine to travel there one day when it's not a layover. And so I decided to give once a try. And like I said, it was like so many answers came to me at that moment. And I watched the rest of the movie and I bawled my eyes out, and I still consider it my single favorite movie of all time. Like, Lord of the Rings is my favorite trilogy, but Once is just, there is no movie like Once. Filmed on $100,000 budget, like 2 handycams. It was like rough to film, and somehow they created this movie that was magical. And so I fell in love with Glenn and Marquetta. And so I found out that they had, after making the movie, they formed a band called the Swell Season, and they were kind of touring around. And I discovered that they were going to be in the United States. And I that was history. I traveled the country for both of them. Glenn eventually went solo, and so I saw him a number of times. I even saw him in a concert in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in the area where they have the giant Egyptian exhibit. It was amazing. It was awesome. And, I've traveled to multiple states throughout the country to see him. I don't even know how many times I saw him. It had to be at least 15, I guess. And one of the most beautiful things that's ever happened in my life was on June 1st, 2019. I had just kind of started to figure out who I was. It took me about like a solid 10 months or so 11 months after my attempt in February of 2018. But I finally started to figure out the kind, loving, supportive, and most importantly, happy person I was. I wasn't this depressed, brooding person that I initially thought I was. I realized that I actually was somebody who could bring happiness to the world. And so I dated this girl for a couple months. I broke up with her a couple months before the show. So it was like a solid like 4-ish months. And I bought tickets to go see Glenn Hansard. I bought third row tickets. It was at the Beacon Theater. And I got very lucky because the person who was supposed to sit next to me on the end didn't show up. So I had an empty seat. And it was the single greatest concert I have ever been to ever. Like I still get chills thinking about it. I still watch videos that I recorded from it. I try to make it a habit not to record videos during shows because I just want to enjoy the moment. And now that Glenn is gone, I kind of regret that a little bit, but I'm still really happy that I have the memories. But just the way that he played that show it was a celebration of life. It was in that moment that I realized like I was meant to be here, like not meant to be at the show, but just I was meant to be on this earth. Like I wasn't meant to take myself out of it. And it was really important to me, during the show. I cried multiple times when I started to realize this. And at the end of the show, the last song, I'll never forget this. He came out into the audience, and this is a sit down theater. You think like Broadway theater, like a sit down theater. This is not like a venue where you have like just like a gig, like a band comes in and plays. Like this was a sit down theater. Like everyone had chairs and seats and they were fancy and it was, a very posh place. He came out into the audience and was singing. Like he came over and he stood on the empty seat next to me and sang to people. And I recorded that moment because I couldn't believe, I was like, in what world would this specific seat be chosen by him for him to stand next to me, right? And then he went through the rest of, the center part of the audience and was climbing over chairs. It was incredible. There's fantastic footage and incredible photos of it online. And I made the decision after 11, 12 years of following him to finally get the guts up to wait for him after the show and say hi. I'd never done it before in my life. I've been too scared. This was the first show of my life where I went up after the show ended and saw one of the musicians and got a set list for the June 1st show at the Beacon Theater. And I waited outside. Glenn has a habit he has a lot of people come backstage. He talks to a lot of people because he knows so many people. You talk to pretty much almost any musician and they will have some sort of connection to him. And so we waited for a solid hour or two. I don't remember. But I had him sign my poster that I bought and I introduced myself and I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. So the only thing I could say was, thank you for everything that you do to fight homelessness, because he was a big advocate in Ireland to house the people that were homeless. I believe he was also arrested once for occupying an empty business building that they believe should not have been empty and should have been used for housing for individuals suffering from homelessness. And because I worked kind of in that realm at the time. And he said, a rising boat lifts all tides. And I never forgot that. And I was there and I talked to him for a little bit. And then I walked away and I left and I got in a taxi and went downtown to my favorite karaoke bar to meet my friends. And this was like midnight by the time we were done. And I just started sobbing in the car. I never felt like this before. I was proud of myself for fighting against the fear that I had of not knowing what to say to him, not knowing how to talk to him, and for finally deciding to stay after the show to meet him. I had met him once before back in like 2008 after the 20th anniversary Frames concert at Terminal 5, and I have a very, very, very grainy picture of us, but it was very brief and I'm pretty sure they were getting ready to leave. But it was such a kind man, he was such a kind man. I met him several times after that, both in New York City, and then I met him in DC as well, and then Pennsylvania. I was lucky enough, the Swell season broke up in like 2009, 2010, and so Glenn went solo, but he and Mar, who was the woman in the band, they did a reunion tour in 2022, I think. And I jumped at the opportunity. I bought tickets and I got lucky enough that I was able to find better tickets to be able to bring Emily with me, because when I bought tickets, they sold out so fast that I could only get one. And then they went on tour again. And so we saw them again in New York. And then the next day we went down and saw them in DC. And the best story ever happened when we were in DC. We bought these shirts in New York and we decided to wear them to DC. And we're walking around, seeing all the sights and everything. I think we had stayed at a hotel that night. So we just dropped our stuff off. I don't remember. And we're walking around and I believe we were in the back part of the White House where Lafayette Square was. And I think they were shutting down things because Joe Biden was coming back. And as we're standing there, this older woman comes up and asked me, hey, can I take a picture of your shirt? I was like, yeah, sure, I guess. I thought she was just like a fan or something and she was going to go to the show. She was like, oh, that's my daughter is in that band. And I just stood there and freaked out. I was like, are you Marquetta's mom? And I met Marquetta's parents at the White House. We talked for a little bit and I talked about how just incredibly important the Swell season was to me, how much they helped me in my life, how much their lyrics were life-changing for me and helped me get through so many problems when I was growing up as a young adult. And they showed that picture to Glenn and Marquetta. And after the show, we waited to meet Glenn. Then Glenn came out and he goes, points at me and Emily and goes, "You're the two from the picture that Mars mom showed us." And I could have just like collapsed at that point. And it was a great moment. And I had several moments like that. I had him write down a lyric for me that I just loved, "Be no harbor for sorrow," that I planned on getting tattooed on me at some point, but I just haven't had the time. But now I definitely need to. But his music was more than music to me, right? I know there's people out there probably like this person's crazy and like just obsessed with the singer and stuff like that, like people who are obsessed with like Taylor Swift and things. But this I felt like was different. He felt like a family member to me with the amount of times that I met him and spoke with him, and I learned so much from him about how to deal with things in life and how to act towards people, and especially later on when he went solo and I was, as I got a little bit older and I finally started to work on myself in therapy, and especially after my attempt when I decided that life was worth living now, I realized that you're not supposed to live your life filling the world with anger and sadness and melancholy. Being depressed is totally different, but I mean towards other people. You were supposed to fill it with love and support and care and a genuine curiosity for other people, regardless of how long you knew them for. He would meet people and minutes later would invite them to his shows or would get coffee with them. He spoke to us for a solid 45 minutes the last time we saw him, and we had just told him that Emily was pregnant. He had a son recently, about I think 2 years before that when we last saw him, and he was so happy for us, so ecstatic. And I was looking forward so much to having Lulu get to meet him one day and for us to be like, "Glenn, this is daughter that we told you about Emily was pregnant with." Because I know that he would just have been so happy and so proud. But he showed me what to give back to the world, to give back to the universe, which was just to be a good person and to make the people that you were with feel like they mattered. You could be a good person and be nice to people, but it's different from letting them know that they're being seen. They matter. That I think is something that's lacking in this world. There's a lot of people that are nice, but they're not kind. And a lot of people that are kind, but they're not nice. And I feel like Glenn was a mixture of both perfectly. And so that's why whenever I meet somebody, have a conversation with someone that I don't know, I make it feel like they are the only person in the room. I make it feel like they matter, because they do. Their story matters, their history matters, what they're going through matters, what their dreams are matters. And that's what he showed me. He was an Oscar winner. He traveled the world to sing. He was incredibly popular. And I definitely learned that a lot more over the last couple of days from what I've seen on Threads and Instagram. I thought that when I had to introduce people to my favorite singer, I would say, "Oh, he's an Irish folk singer and he's done this, that, and the other thing. And he's known for Falling Slowly, which won an Oscar." I realize now I never needed to say that because there were so many other people that loved him. And I've been devastated. I've cried constantly just the last 2 days, and it's just, I keep thinking it's a sick joke and that tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll have show dates. And in my head, I keep thinking about, I can't wait until the next time I see him. I can't wait to see him live again. When's he going to release tour dates? And then I have to remind myself that that's not going to happen anymore. And it just breaks my heart. And it breaks my heart because he's got a 3-year-old son, Christy. He's got a wife. He's got all of his friends. I mean, his mom passed away recently. His dad passed away years ago, but his mom passed away recently and she was a big part of his life. His best friend passed away, I think almost like 20 years ago or something. So I try to remind myself that if there is something after this, he's with those people that he so much. But it hurts so much to know that the music that he had left unwritten, he was apparently about to start working on a new album. It's gone. It's over. And I'll always have his records and I'll always have his music to play, but it's just not the same. I'll miss seeing him on social media. He was so kind and generous. So that's why this episode has taken a couple days to come out. I just haven't had it in me to record myself, and I definitely didn't have the the emotional stability to talk about him. But he was such an important person in my life. And I joke saying that he was my dad because he was, 56 when he passed, but he gave off that aura that he was like a wise dad, wise father. And every time I would see him, every time I would hear him talk, especially during his concerts, God, he's so philosophical and existential. And he saw life as more than just something to like just be in. He saw it as something to be enjoyed and driven by this fierce urgency to live. And he would say, and that meant saying yes to a lot of things and learning so many new things that he wouldn't have learned if he didn't say yes. And it just reminds me that at any moment, something could happen that could take us from here this earth, this existence, this plane. And after my attempt in 2018, I came face to face with the word that I now consider to be the most dangerous word in the world. And that is someday. Someday I'll travel to this place, or someday I'll chase this dream, or put it in running perspective. Someday I'll run a marathon. I'm just not ready for it now. Just can't do it now. And I know that there are a lot of things that come up in life that stop us from chasing dreams that might unnecessarily be as important as other things that come up at that time. But we use the word someday a lot more than I feel like we should. And it doesn't mean you're a failure by saying I'll do it someday. It just, what I see throughout life from people when they keep saying that is a dream just slowly die, like a flame that slowly extinguishes itself. And that's why when you talk to a lot of people at the end of life, the number one thing that you hear from them are regrets. And after my attempt in 2018, it took me a couple months, but I finally said to myself, I'm not living my life like that anymore. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for things. I'm going to do what I love. I'm going to do what I want. And I'm going to go out at the end of my life knowing I had no regrets, that I had left everything on the table, and that at whatever funeral service or whatever would be held for me, people would be sharing stories of this, that, and the other thing. So many things that I'd done in my life. Did you know about this? Did you know about that? And that's what I want to inspire in other people is those some days run out and you don't know when that's going to happen. We like to think that we're going to live, the average lifespan of 74 to 85 years or something. But for some of us, that's not the case. So these last 2 days, I've just been thinking about someday again. Because I was like, I'll see him again someday. I'll go watch him live someday. We'll see his next show someday. And now someday ran out. It's so sad. And I'm sorry if I brought the mood down by talking about this because it's just I know it's a heavy topic. And if I could leave you with just one lyric that I hope so many of you can understand and hopefully use to help yourself in whatever struggles you might be having right now. Well, you have suffered enough and award with yourself. It's time that you've won. Glenn, you will be missed tremendously. There is a hole in music now without you here. And to those of you that have actually reached out to me and checked in on me or just were there for me when they found out that this happened, I cannot thank you enough. That means the world to me. I was expecting to kind of get through all of this on my own by myself, and so many of you wrapped your love around me. And that is exactly what Glenn would have wanted. So thank you. And I'm sorry, like I said, if I brought down the mood. I know this was a heavy portion to talk about. It was a heavy portion of the episode. I know this is also probably longer than what I usually speak about when it comes to this check-in about my week, but I wanted to be open and honest with all of you because that's what I've always promised that I would be with you. But I want to stop talking about me now, and I want to really, really bring in Abigail and have you listen to her incredible story because it is one that will leave you inspired. It will leave you wanting to chase your dreams. It will leave you wanting to experience life. It will leave you wanting to leave the word someday behind and start saying, I'm going to do this right now. So without further ado, here's Abigail Michelle. Most runners are one thing. Today's guest is at least three. Abigail Michelle is an actor, she's a model, and she's a serious distance runner with 13 marathons and 26 half marathons on her resume. She's also a bunny mom. And yes, that is an actual pet, which is honestly one of the best things I've ever read in an Instagram bio. And on top of that, she's an ambassador for so many different brands for running. You've got Rabbit, Garmin, Honey Stinger, Zensa, Shocks, which I'm also part of, Salt Stick, which I'm also part of too. And the list just goes on. She's a woman who lives a lot of lives at the same time and somehow makes it look intentional. Acting, modeling, brand work, training, racing, 39 long distance finish lines, and she's still chasing more. That kind of resume does not happen by accident. It happens because someone has decided a long time ago to take running seriously and to bring her whole self into it every single time. I've wanted to have this conversation for a while. So Abigail, welcome to At Your Own Pace.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I just for the listeners, Abigail and I met in Boston. We met in Boston. I just so much traveling. We met in Boston this year for the Chasing Stars event that they had for Shock's ambassadors. And it was really funny because we went on a shakeout run and then we all came back and we were all just kind of chilling and eating snacks and stuff that they had out. And I went up to her and I said, I feel like I've seen you. And in that, she said the same thing. And then we realized that we were actually just following each other for a long time. And we didn't realize it at the moment. So it was just kind of like an aha moment. So it was really funny. And it was really great to meet you, Abigail. Actually in person.
Yeah, likewise. And you know what? Maybe we will meet up in Chicago because that's my hometown race. And I know that you have Chicago on your schedule.
Are you running Chicago?
Well, that's a good question. I have a bib.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
How did you? Are you part of the legacy, or did you?
I am a legacy. I started running with Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Okay.
And I fundraise for them all the time, even if I have guaranteed entry. Mm-hmm. And I do have a bib for this year.
Well, I hope to see you. And hopefully, I tried to do some sort of meetup last year for Chicago and it just kind of crashed and burned. So I'm hoping that this year I can get it set up a little bit earlier so that hopefully people will have time to be able to get things done, because I know the Chicago marathon period is very quick compared to something like Boston, which is almost like a week-long thing. But talking about marathons and all these long distance races, I want to talk about how this all started. So before the 13 marathons and before the 26 half marathons, before the ambassadorships, when did running come into your life and what brought you to it?
2017. I volunteered at the 26 mile of the Chicago Marathon in 2016. And I was so inspired. At the time, I'm a severe asthmatic. I was driving around with a handicap placard and I carried a nebulizer. And I just never thought that would be in the cards for me. I was training pretty seriously, strength training. I had a personal trainer for the last 2 years. And then I volunteered at the marathon. And I just saw people from all over the world, all types of abilities, and just chasing their dreams. And I vowed to myself I would return the next year as a runner. And I wasn't running at that time. Maybe just the fun 5Ks, never taking it seriously, just hanging out with friends. But I did. I signed up with Ronald McDonald House Charities and I joined a local running club. And I think I had 26 races on the schedule for 2017 in preparation for the marathon. And I thought I would be one and done. But actually, it's so crazy. I ran my first marathon on a sprained ankle. It is not a glamorous story. I was at work, race week, and my foot was asleep. And I got up really quick to go to the bathroom and I fell. So it's just, I had to go to urgent care and they did imaging. And the doctor said, well, if something is broken, you can't run. And luckily it was a sprain. I said, well, can I run? And she said, okay, but wear some compression socks and don't run until race day. Well, stupid me. I'm like, well, I want to make sure I could still run on it. And I probably shouldn't have done that. And I still towed the line. By mile 3, my right ankle was as big as a softball. And mind you, I went to the expo in crutches. So I raised so much money for Ronald McDonald House Charities that I wasn't going to miss out on this. And thankfully, I didn't have a run coach at the time because I'm sure any run coach would tell me not to line up. And I crossed the finish line, went right into the medical tent, and I have no regrets. And I ended up beating the time of the doctor who treated me.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh my goodness, going to the expo in crutches.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I've had ankle issues during the races, especially when I first started. I remember Chicago, I got the mile 20 and then had to run walk the rest of the race. And it's not fun, but I can't imagine my ankle swelling up that much. And by mile 3, that's resilience right there.
Or stupidity.
I look at it on the positive side, because I know non-runners would probably say that, but people who train for these things, who see that and push through the pain and push through all the obstacles that they have, that is very inspiring. Now, I wouldn't recommend anybody listening to actually do it.
Don't do it.
But it is a very, very inspiring thing, because it means so much to push through the uncomfortability, because that's really what running is, especially long distance running is. There's going to be, for me, it doesn't matter how many marathons I run. There's at least one part of the marathon where I go, why am I doing this? I hate this.
All the time.
And then I finish and I go, when's the next one?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and it's an issue but I think it's a good issue.
It is a good issue.
But
I think you just get amnesia, I think, afterwards. You just forgot.
Yes. Yes. I don't remember all the pain. You just remember finishing, crossing the finish line and getting the medal and the start, and that's kind of it. My goodness. And then hopefully your pictures are good. So then you're like, yeah, see, I wasn't dying during this part. I actually looked really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so a lot of runners, they start with that one race, right? You started with Chicago after being inspired by everybody that you saw when you're volunteering, and you figure out kind of during that training cycle and during that race what your relationship with the sport is, right? Take me back to Chicago. You talked about finishing with the ankle, the sprained ankle, and it being swollen and everything. What did you walk away from Chicago with? What did it teach you? What did it show you that obviously that was not your one and done because you continued? What that had to do something and spark something inside of you?
It taught me resilience, and it taught me that, growth happens when you're outside your comfort zone. Running has taught me that it's a metaphor for life. You don't train because you want the pain to go away. You train so you could tolerate the pain. It's still painful for the pros. It's painful for everybody, but you can rise above it. I mean, it's your mind and then it's your heart that gets you across that finish line. And so I just channel it in everything that I do. You know how they say that you shouldn't line up and worry about the 26.2 miles. You worry about the mile that you're in. It's just at every step. So that's what life is like. Don't worry about everything. Just concentrate on taking little steps.
You are absolutely right. And I needed to hear that right now because of things that are going on in my life. So thank you for that. That is a wonderful way to think about running a marathon. And I love how you compared it to life because so many people ask me like why I run marathons. My family does all the time. And I try to relate it back to real life and how, there will be difficulties that you face in your professional life, in your personal life, family, friends, work, whatever. And from running, I've learned that as long as I don't give up, as long as I keep pushing through, I will get through whatever issue I'm facing. And it also, I tell people all the time, it kind of makes the problems that you see a little bit smaller because you say to yourself, well, I can run 26.2 miles. I can finish this spreadsheet. Like
Yeah,
I can write this email.
right.
This is nothing compared to training for like 4 months to run this race. So I really love how you connected that with life because that's so important, I think, to so many runners because the confidence and things that I have learned and gotten from running, I don't think I would have gotten from anywhere else. But
Well, I mean, I think it was always there. You just had to discover it.
true, true. I think you're right with that. There are a lot of things I think that came out of me, and I think comes out of a lot of runners once they finally, there's always the beginning part where you hate it. But once you get past that part with running, you start to learn a lot more about yourself because of the meditative effects that you get from just running for, you know, an hour where it's just you, your music if you want, and that's really it. And it's wonderful to be in that place. Now, so you went from a casual runner very quickly to a long distance runner. You had those 26 races you said in 2017 leading up to Chicago. And that is an entire identity shift, right? You're most likely, I think you were still acting and you were still a model during this time.
Yeah, and I'm still doing that now.
Exactly. So you decided to add a third thing to it to your identity. But when did you start to see yourself as a real long distance runner?
I still don't. I mean, I don't know. I'm just someone who is having fun, and it feels surreal, right? I mean, if I do think about it, and I do see the medals, it seems unreal to me because that was never my identity. I wasn't an athlete in high school. I started off as a master's runner, but I don't even really think of myself as a serious runner. It's just something that I do. I don't know.
Yes.
Does that sound ridiculous?
No, I mean, I feel the same way. Like, it doesn't matter how fast you are as a runner. Like, I always tell people if you feel like this sport becomes I have to do it rather than I get to do it,
Hmm.
you might want to rethink, what you're doing because it doesn't sound like you're in it for the fun. You're in it for
Right.
something else, which brings a whole lot of extra stress when it comes to running, which if you're running 26.2 miles, I really don't want to have added stress to the stress I've already got. But that's a great answer. And it's very humble. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about you is that you've accomplished so many things and you do so many things, but the way that you, in my opinion, portray yourself is very humble and down to earth, understanding and caring. And it really does inspire me because of the way that you kind of act around everybody. And especially when I met you, you were probably one of the nicest people I've ever met, and it was wonderful. But I want to talk about the other identities that you have. So you're an actor, you're a model, now you're a runner.
Mhm.
And there are three very different ways of using your body and your mind. But do they talk to each other at all? Is there any way for like the one helps the other? Like have they taught you anything that helps you? Has running helped you with something with acting or with modeling and things like
It's funny, like one of the gigs that I had to pretend to be a runner before I was a runner.
that?
And it was before shocks came onto the scene. So I had wired headphones for the commercial. And, that saying, does art imitate life or is life imitating art? So it's ironic because I said, oh, well, how am I going to pretend to be a runner? I have no idea. So here I am supposed to, be running and now that's what I do. And so my main role, like during the day, is I actually work for a Fortune 500 company as a global change manager. And so when I think about Abigail Michelle, that's my legal first and middle names. But that's the stage name that I use to keep those lives separate. And so I actually think of her as third person, that I manage her. That's how I
That's
keep
cool.
those lives separate.
No, that's cool. That's really smart, actually.
Yeah.
So and there's a performance element, right, to both running and acting because you have to show up, you have to be present, and obviously you have to execute under pressure because whether it's whatever scene you're working on, I did acting way back when I was younger, so I kind of have an understanding about that. And obviously, you're under the pressure when you're running a marathon or a half marathon. Has being a performer shaped how you run at all?
Absolutely. I think it's because this from acting, there's a mind shift. And like, for instance, sometimes it's easier for me to act out a scene because I get to wear a mask. I'm in character. But then if it's Abigail, not playing a character, I'm very vulnerable. I may have stage fright doing public speaking. But if I'm in front of the camera, it's not as nerve wracking. So I try to use some of those techniques when I'm running. Like Boston was rough for me because I had diarrhea that morning. I did not know if I would be able to finish that race. And luckily I didn't have signal because I was thinking about how much is an Uber from Hopkinton back to Boston because I don't know if I could make it. But then I really just prayed about it and just channeled that energy. What do I do when I try to put my game face on? I have to just focus on what I can control. And I just said, Abigail, we're just going to do this. You're going to nail that nutrition and go. And then I did. And I think we have to do that for ourselves, right? You have to be your cheerleader. Because since I didn't have signal, I couldn't reach out to my coach. I couldn't reach out to family or friends. I had to be my cheerleader.
Yeah, and you had to make that mind shift, like you pointed out. You had to go from somebody who was, afraid of being able to finish to we got to do this.
Yeah.
And I get that all the time right before marathons where I'm super nervous, but then as soon as I see the starting line, it's like something just flips in my head and it's time to go. So I completely agree with you. I think that that's really important. And being your biggest cheerleader is very difficult, especially when you're facing issues leading up to the race. And you could have other people who could be cheerleaders for you, but if you don't have that belief in yourself, it's kind of like they're speaking another language to you and you just don't understand it. So I think being in that position, that's really powerful for you. So I'm glad that you're able to finish and that you didn't have major issues during the race. Because I know some people who had some issues. I don't know if they had issues if it was this year or last year, but I've talked to people who have had major issues during races, and it is not fun.
It is not fun. No, it's never fun. But let me tell you, like once I saw the Newton Hills, I was like, oh, well, maybe this was it.
God, those hills. Oh my god. I remember last year I was really good at understanding them. I was like, okay, one hill, two
Yeah.
hills, three hills. This year I was like, when are we
When
done?
is it done? Yeah, you're going into a wall of asphalt.
Exactly. I was like, I just want this to end. And when it finally did, my body was not ready because it's just straight downhill. My
Yeah.
quads were like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Why do you hate us? Yes.
No, seriously, why did you do this? I can't believe you. Now, so I want to talk about the work behind the numbers, right? You have your 26 half marathons. You've got your 13 full marathons. It's not luck that got you through all of those. It's dedicated training. It's really putting in the work and getting that training complete so that you can get to the starting line and be able to finish strong. Because I know people that finish, I mean, myself included, who finish marathons and then immediately go to the med tent consistently. Like that was me for like 5 or 6 marathons. You have years of discipline work. What does your training week actually look like for you?
Well, it's changed, right? If you already follow me on social media, you know that I've had some health challenges. So we're kind of riding the edge right now of what kind of volume can my body handle now and still build fitness. I think, at my peak when I didn't have health issues, I would probably tap out at like 150, 160 miles a month when I was in a build. And that's with cross training. And, for the past 12 months, we've had to alter it. We had to incorporate some aqua jogging when I wasn't allowed to run outside. That is not sexy at all and not exciting. It's unnecessary thing. And like biking indoors, they were afraid that I would fall outside. So I had to bike indoors and physical therapy, strength training at home, and just being really creative. But it's, you could still build fitness even when you're recovering from an injury, because I think injuries are inevitable in our sport.
Absolutely. I have arthritis in my big toe that'll never go away for the rest of my life. So
No.
yeah, I've found out about a year or two ago because I can't fully extend the toe. So every time I try to bend down, it hurts. But yeah, this sport is full of injuries.
Hmm.
But how are you doing now?
Physically, mentally.
Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to share.
It's, interesting. I was listening to, some of your past episodes and those who have finished 6 stars, like what's next? So Boston was my 6 star. And, we sometimes get aggressive with the back-to-back marathons because these bibs are so hard to get and you
Yes.
just have to go when it's available. So Boston was not on the calendar for this year for me. My goal race in the spring was originally the New York City half. I didn't find out I was running Boston until 7 weeks beforehand, thanks to Shocks. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do it. I was reaching out to my coach and she missed my message and I had to make a decision like within a day. And she said, I would have wanted you to accept that because that's your last star. You should do it. And we can get you across that finish line safely. So we were just never going to race. We just wanted to complete it because that wasn't enough time to do a serious build for that course. I live in the Midwest. I have to drive to hills. And I mean, even though I was training for the New York City half, I wasn't training for Boston. I think it would have looked a little different what my training cycle would be like. And then now I feel like I have freedom to really pick and choose now the races. I'm not sure if I'll go for the 9. I think I'm just still trying to process that we finished a 6 and, just kind of enjoying it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really weird completing your 6-star journey because you feel so lost after. When I finished, I was like, I was like looking at everything. Like, do I do the 50 states? Do I
Yeah.
do continents? Like all of this other stuff. Do I go for
Super
the 9 star?
halves.
And it was just,
Yeah.
it was so, you get the marathon blues, but when you get the 6-star medal, it's like, I'm really happy I got it, but there's like an extra level because you get on top of that because you're like, I worked so hard for this and I got it. I'm really
Yeah.
happy, but what do I do now?
Exactly.
And it takes it. You have to really think about what you want to do next. And do you have anything planned next?
Well, we're debating about me doing like a fast half in the fall. I said that I already have a bib for Chicago. I actually had a bib for Berlin and I just deferred it. Well, obviously I've done Berlin already because I have the 6 stars. So I have the luxury of now deferring if I need to. So nothing really solid right now. Maybe trying to do a fast 5K. I'm doing a 10K birthday run next month with people in Chicago. And I wish you lived in the Chicago area. Then you could have joined me in the birthday run because we're going to do the Stan's Donut Run. Yeah. So that will be fun. So I think that's in my future. And also, you know, when I finally did get to run New York, so I deferred 24 and then I ran in 25. I really saw so many athletes in Achilles and just so inspired. Like, wow, these are really the heroes, the unsung heroes. Like they are out there and they're doing it, and it gets dark and the
Yeah.
crowds are gone. And so I actually signed up for Achilles Chicago. So
Wow.
once I'm feeling up for it, then I'll start joining their training runs. And I really want to be part of helping others fulfill their dreams. And it's not necessarily like, I don't know, like, okay, I have the medals and I am not as proud of that as I am with, things that we don't receive accolades for, like helping others. Like, I get more joy out of that than really these medals for myself.
That is amazing that you signed up for Achilles. And I agree with you with New York. I mean, I'm pretty sure you probably saw the gentleman who finished, I think at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night,
Mm-hmm.
and just the amount of people that just were still there and just walked to the finish line with him I was so cried. I cried. It was so inspiring
Yeah.
because of how just there's nothing like I just can't explain to people like there's nothing like this that you see during a marathon. I think anywhere else in the world. Like they always say like if you lose hope in humanity, go watch a marathon because you see those people. You see the blind people, you see the individuals that are missing limbs or they're, whatever the other issues they may be facing, but they're still going and they don't care about time.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to push through and get to that finish line and get that medal. And I'm actually doing a run this weekend in New York on Sunday for Achilles with New York Road.
Nice.
So there will be a lot of Achilles people there, a lot of Achilles runners. So I'm really happy about that. It's a great race and I've done it a couple times. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. But I actually initially signed up for Achilles New York in New York City. But since I don't live there anymore, it's really difficult for me to
Do the
potentially
training.
get out there and do
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm see if there's one like in Philly or
Or you
something
could
in
start
Jersey.
one
I could
in your spare time. I know.
my spare time with work and my baby and
Yeah.
content and all that. Yeah, definitely.
I know.
But no, I think Achilles is incredible. It's a great organization, and I always admire those people that are the Achilles guides. And it's actually really surprising the rules that they have for Achilles because like you can't be in front of the runner, you have to be behind them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain distance you can be from them. Like all of this stuff, it's crazy, but it's to give them the ability to really showcase themselves instead of feeling like they're being dragged by somebody,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. But speaking of races, right? You have all these races under your belt, and I'm pretty sure a few of them have probably humbled you, and
Mhm.
they probably taught you some things and did not go the way that you planned. Is there a race that you would definitely do differently if you could go back and do it again?
My goodness, there are several. So, like I ran Tokyo in 24, and you know how they're pretty strict about the rules in Tokyo. And I know in the previous year, they weren't allowing people to bring water. And in 24, they kind of loosened up the rules that we could take sealed box water through the start. And I don't know if the volunteer knew that that rule had changed and it got confiscated. I had walked a mile to the start and I didn't have any water in the starting corrals. And I was panicking and I called my running coach and I just said, they took my water away. And I was just like so upset. And luckily, the time difference, so it was like Saturday night here in the States. So she was awake. And, if it was like London or Berlin, it would have been the middle of the night. And then she just told me to focus on what I can control. And, the first aid station is not until the first 5K. So it's really hard to make up that hydration on the way. And it's kind of warm in Tokyo, especially if you're training in the winter, since it's the first Sunday of March. And so you're training the winter here. And I went to the medical tent after I'd crossed a finish. I just ran like a couple minutes off of my PR. And because I am a good angry runner. So if I'm angry, it'll be a good race. Not that I try to start angry. And I was released, but I still felt ill. And I didn't end up going to my charities after party. So I ran for the local Ronald McDonald House charities there. So it's DMHC because there's no R in Japan. And I passed out on the train.
God.
Yeah. And then I woke up to two Japanese nurses on the train that had my legs up in the air and they were trying to give me Pocari Sweat and chocolate. So
God.
yeah, it's just like, oh no, this is terrible. I should be celebrating because that was my 4th star and here I am.
Did you figure out what happened?
Yeah, I was dehydrated. Because I was still taking, salt stick like a champ, but I just could not make up the hydration at that point, especially if you're just taking from the course, you don't have a handheld. Yeah, I just don't think I had enough fluid for the electrolytes to get absorbed.
Mhm. I know I ran 24 as well, and I know that was the year with the water debacle.
Yes.
Did you run into any issues with the water during the race?
No, but it's just tough because my last digit on my bib was 8. So that means it's towards the end and you can't throw away like outside of the
Uh,
aid station. So it's tough. Yeah. We could do a
well,
whole episode on Tokyo.
absolutely. Tokyo is its own beast.
Yeah.
Even though it's so flat, it's all the
Yeah.
rules and the way that it's set up. And I'm
Switchbacks.
glad that was it last year? No, this year they
Hmm.
changed the rules so you could bring water now because they finally realized, okay, people are going to have issues again,
Yeah.
and it was hot apparently, then hotter than last year.
Yeah.
And last year was hot, man. But so we talked about a race that you wish that you could do differently if you had the chance. But on the flip side, is there a race that you're the proudest of? Not necessarily because of finish time, but because of something that, really got to you either during the race or after the race.
New York. I would run New York every year if I could. I feel like if you could bottle up the energy and the love that we feel on the course, I don't think we would ever have war. It's incredible. So anybody listening, you have to run New York at least once.
Yes.
It's not only being inspired by Achilles. I was told in August of last year that I may never be able to run again. And I just kept training and just hoping that they were going to let me run. And in September 15th is when I was cleared to run New York. And I had agreed that I would do a walk run. And that's fine, because the time limit is very generous for New York. And, I could take my time and just really enjoy it. And so it was incredible. And when we got into Brooklyn, it was mile 9. And I asked my boyfriend, I saw him. And I said, "Are we doing this?" And then he said, "F yeah, we are." And he didn't say F, and it was just such a gift. We're never promised another race. I love Dina Castor's book, Let Your Mind Run, and Running with Gratitude. I think sometimes we take it for granted that there's always going to be another race, and you never know. And you just have to enjoy it, just like with everything in life. Our time is limited. We all have an expiration date, and you just have to make the most of it.
That's actually why I got technically really into marathon running, and especially doing the World Marathon Majors and traveling the world, because I realized, I talked about it on one of my other episodes, but after my attempt in 2018, that's when I realized the same exact thing. Like, we don't have, we think we have time, but we don't know how much time we have. And then we need to make sure that the dash that's in between when we live and when we die is worth something. And you can say that something happened during that, and to try to make your life, have some meaning if you can, whether it's, a family or a hobby or something that you love, and knowing that you didn't just sit there and let life pass you by. Because I completely agree with you. And I think that is so, it's so powerful, and something that a lot of people do not take for granted. Like you said, you're not promised the next race. I always tell everybody, when you start a marathon, you can have the perfect training plan. You can have your hydration down, your nutrition down. Everything could have gone perfect. Once you cross that starting line, anything can happen.
Absolutely.
You can pass out, you can trip and hurt yourself, you could break something, and that could be the end of your running career, like your running journey. That's it. And it could happen at any moment. Even during your training, something could happen, and it could knock you off from being able to run that race. And so we need to remember, I do this a lot, so this is something that I need to tell myself. We need to take in everything that's going on around us. And New York is a perfect example, because that was my first marathon. I feel like I got spoiled by doing.
Yeah,
People say that all the time.
That's a hard measuring stick now.
Those crowds are amazing. And I will never forget the first time that I came off the Verrazano Bridge and turned into Brooklyn for the first time, because I was planning on just listening to my music. I had my noise cancellation on my headphones, and I saw the crowds, and I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I need to turn my music off. And it gives me chills every time I think about it, because of how silent it was, and then just how loud it was for 25 miles.
I know, it's like a big block party. I just part of me wanted to jump off the course and just party with them. It was incredible.
Well, you should see some of the videos that some people do. Like, they get crazy because there's people handing out alcohol. I saw somebody actually in Chicago. I saw her in person. I think it was last week in New York. She did a keg stand.
I saw that video.
In Chicago. It was incredible. So I love when people do that kind of stuff. Like, I try to focus because I want to run a
Right.
specific time or whatnot. But like in 2022, it was like 75 degrees, and I got halfway, and I was like, "This is
Yeah.
not a PR race. We're gonna have fun." So I was like dancing with people. I got pictures. Like it was so much fun just taking in everything, and I feel like one day that's just going to be me all the time. I run New York every year because I love the energy and I love the crowds, and it's just got a sentimental feeling in me because of living there for 17 years. So it spoils you to
Yes.
kind of every other marathon that you might do. I think the closest you might get would be maybe Chicago or Boston, but I don't think you would see a line of people for 25 miles screaming for you that don't know you to succeed. It is one of the most incredible things. And as Abigail said, if you want to run a marathon and you want the energy, New York is that race. It's indescribable just being around those people because they will tell you that they believe in you and they don't even know who you are. You could be struggling like hell and they will tell you, keep going, you got this, and that'll push you. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
You're going to make me want to run it this year. But it's
Hey, I mean, you probably could find the charity bib if you wanted to. I'm just
I
saying.
probably could. I know. Yeah. You probably wouldn't have to twist my arm that bad.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to do the 15. So if you run 15 New York marathons, you get like entry automatically into the next year.
Oh, nice.
So this year will be numbers 21, 22, 23, number 7. No,
Okay.
6, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. It's 26, right? Yeah. This would be number 6. So I'm at like halfway there almost. And because I want to run marathons for a long time. So that's my goal. But I digress. I've gotten a little bit off topic here talking about
Yeah,
how amazing New York is.
no,
But
no, no.
it's just wonderful. I'm sorry. It's a
It
great
really
race.
is. It really is. And I'm not even from New York, but it really is. I just want to tell you, you brought this up. I really appreciate your candor about mental health because it's something that I struggle with as well. And it's really been therapeutic for me to find running as well. I was close, but my year was 2006. And I have not done well with medications. They've tried to give me medications like one time they overprescribed and I actually dropped to the ground at work and they had to rush me to the hospital. And then the last time, which is a while ago, I started having seizures. So I can't do any medications. But with running, I feel like I'm able to really control those feelings and it has given me purpose. I think because I run for charities a lot too, and not only just raising money for races, I actually get involved with the charities. Like for Ronald McDonald House Charities, I help cook dinners at the local houses. So it's a year-long commitment where it's not just about race day. And I don't know, running has given me a part of myself back.
Agree with you 100%. I'm glad you're still here. People who have gotten to that place, whether they attempt or not, but when they get to that rock bottom spot, it's painful and it hurts. And I appreciate you for what you said.
I reclaimed a part of myself through running. So I can really relate. And I appreciate you so much about sharing that part of yourself and being vulnerable because, it's kind of scary to share that part of yourself. But you know what? I try to be vulnerable too. And I think for me, if we could just help one person, then it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I take mental health very seriously with running because of what it's given back to me. I found running at literally the lowest point in my life. And I know it didn't fix everything. As I still tell people all the time, running can be therapeutic, but it is not therapy. So if you want something, I recommend still talking to somebody.
Right.
But I completely agree with you on just how meditative and helpful running is because it one of the things I've learned through therapy is meditation. I actually took a class on Zen meditation and learned a lot about what it does. And the thing that I was taught was when you meditate, you might not feel anything in the moment, but as you do it over time, what ends up happening is subconsciously your mind is shifting and learning so much more about yourself and moving to a different spot and helping you. And you don't see it because it happens very, 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 very slowly. But then one day you wake up and you see like, I'm not this person that I was before. I have shifted into something else. And as you pointed out, it's probably the true person that you are meant to be because your mind is finally figuring that out. And so running has helped me understand myself so much more than I think maybe any other sport that I may have gotten into would do. Even strength training. I hate strength training. So
But it's
hate
a
it so much.
necessary evil. You know that.
Yes, it's necessary, but it's what's the Parks and Rec where it's like running is good for you, and she's like, at what cost? That's how I feel with strength training. But it's so like, I don't know. I feel like when I run, it's just so relaxing. Even though it could be like a very difficult run, it's still a moment where I am just with myself, and that's it. And that's all I'm focusing on is just my mind, my brain, what's going on in front of me, and it's so therapeutic.
It is. And I'm so glad that you're still here because it's obvious your work isn't done. You have work to do and you're helping people. I mean, you've helped me because I don't feel alone in what I had to go through.
I appreciate that. And you, as you said, if you can help one person, it makes all the difference. And that's the only thing that I want to do with my platform is if I can help just one person, then I know that I've achieved the goal that I have. But so I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. And like I said before the episode, I appreciate everything that you do and what you share and how honest and open you are about who you are and the things that you've accomplished and are working towards because, it inspires me. And I know that it probably inspires other people, especially with the number of companies that you work with. That you work with. I mean, I'm pretty sure the ones that you have listed on your profile are just kind of like a few. You probably work with more,
I
but
do.
like you work with you work with Rabbit, you work with Shocks, Zenza, Honey Stinger. What else I got here? Garmin, you got Boco and Salt Stick, some of my favorite companies. How do
Yeah.
you approach the partnerships and decide what fits like your story?
Well, I haven't always been doing the approaching. Sometimes I'm approached, like they'll ask me to test something, and I will not endorse something that I wouldn't use myself. Like I want to be sincere and I want to believe in it. And I think it's important, right? To be truthful. And
Yes.
so I just love these products. My gosh, I got so emotional. Here, my nose is running. But yeah, Rabbit was my first brand that I worked with, and that was in 2017. I think I found them accidentally because I am a bunny mom and you couldn't really find them in stores yet in 2017. They had just started and you had to buy direct from them.
Hmm.
But they took a chance on me and they watched me grow from beginner runner to now. And I'll have to do a reveal on Instagram, but they had gifted us 6-star jackets that just came in.
Wow.
Yeah, they're just so kind and I met so many people through Rabbit and through these other brand collaborations. I mean, so when we were at the Shocks event in Boston, I wondered, well, why did they pick me? Because I'm sure there are lots of other people that they could have picked. I'm sure lots of people applied. But when we were all in a room together, it was pretty obvious why we were picked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when we did for those that don't know, we did a yoga session and then we did, what would you call it? Like a dancing
Yeah.
meditation thing.
Yeah.
And at first we were all a little shy about
Yeah.
dancing. The guy who was running it was like trying to get everybody involved. But then I would say probably about a quarter of the way through, everyone just kind of dropped their guard and we all just were dancing and having so much fun. And it was a really, really, really awesome moment. And you're right. I mean, I think about this all the time. Whenever a company reaches out to me or wants to work with me, I go, why did you pick me? Like I got picked for with Meta, their Threads Run Club because of just how much I post on Threads.
Nice.
And I met with the person who manages the ambassadorship, and I literally asked her to her face, like, "Why did you pick me? Why? Like, I don't understand." And she was like, "Well, you're one of the most active runners on Threads." I was like, "I don't know if that's a compliment or if you're making fun of me," but I try to tell myself now that if I get picked for something, it's because I deserve it. There's something that they see in me that I might not see. So same with you. These companies that want to work with you, they reach out to you, they see something in you and they want that. You bring something to their ethos of their company. And so if you ever get picked for another company, you let me know. I'll tell you the same thing so that you don't put yourself down again.
And I'll do the same for you. Yeah, I think it's just the universe reminding us, right? If we can't see it ourselves,
Yes.
to giving you the reminder.
Oh
Yeah, but
yeah.
that Chucks event was amazing. But I think part of the reason why too we were on guard is because, we're supposed to be off of our feet the day before a
Mhm.
marathon. And here we are dancing. Like
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think,
yeah, we're supposed to be off our feet. So that was
yeah, and we're jumping up and down, and
I know, exactly. Like
anybody could
things that we're
fall.
not supposed all the things you're not supposed to do.
Yes, man, that's 100% true. Now, before we move on, I gotta ask
Hmm.
about the bunny mom part of your bio.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, I live with a rescued bunny, and her name is Carmen, and she's free range. She's litter box trained, and she loves TV.
Does she have any favorite shows?
She likes it when there's something like musical. So she likes America's Got Talent, or, if I'm not really watching American Idol anymore, I don't know who is, but I'm sorry. But it's, maybe if that's on. But she likes musical things. And then sometimes, like while I'm working, because I work from home, I'll see her on the couch watching TV.
So awesome.
Yeah. So I think I am really living in her world right
Mhm,
now. I mean, I just support her.
mhm.
So
How big is she? Is she, like, the size of, like, a cat or
she's like 5 pounds.
okay,
So she would be a small cat. Yeah.
okay.
Very affectionate, very sweet, but she can be stubborn.
Mm,
She knows her name. She likes to give kisses. Yeah.
I love that. I had a cat actually who liked to lick people. Yeah, I called him a dog because he would talk to you. He's a great cat. But that's awesome that you have that rescue bunny. I've never spoken to anybody who has a rabbit as a pet. So that's really cool. And it's even cooler that they're free range. So like they just go
Yeah.
around your house.
Yeah. That's what she
That's
does.
that's so I've never heard of that before. That's so cool.
Yeah. And she goes to the litter box when she has to go. And when she's done with her business and she gets out, yeah, she's very independent.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
I had a rabbit years ago, but we kept it in a cage for the most part because it was not free range. And
Okay.
we ended up having to give it away because it was for my brother. He didn't take care of it. So
Yeah.
we found the better family for it. But now I want to shift to talking about what all this is really about for running, right? You've got 39 long distance races. You might have a couple more lined up for this year. What does running still give you that nothing else does?
What I love about running is, it's like each day it's an appointment with myself. I love starting my mornings with a run. I love watching the sunrise during a run. I love hearing my feet hit the pavement, seeing my animal friends on the trail that recognize me. I love the community that it's brought me. Even when I wasn't able to run, I'd still go to run club and I'd walk, and just that camaraderie. I feel like running has brought the most amazing people into my life. Very positive, very uplifting, very supportive. I mean, when I had to run walk New York, my phone was buzzing with people who were cheering for me. And I said, well, I'm going to take my time because this is a run walk. And they stuck through it with me. And I think it's unlike any other sport. Like with the majors, that we could run the same course as the pros, and they're so accessible. I remember going to the expo for Chicago last year, even though I didn't run it because I was going to run New York. I got to meet Clayton,
Mm,
and I was telling him my story, and he started crying and hugged me. And I don't know, I've gotten to meet Dina Castor, and she signed my copy of her book in person. They're just rooting for you. When I started to learn how to aqua jog, Kira D'Amato, she was telling me what jogging belt she was using. It's just I don't know. I mean, I don't see it like if I played basketball, would an NBA player be helping me like that? So it's just we're just all people, right? At the end of the day, supporting one another, lifting each other up. It's not about that time on the clock for me.
that's so cool that you met all those people. I would fangirl so hard.
I know
Like, even
there's
even just meeting a Peloton instructor, I fangirled, and I always apologize to them. I'm like, "I'm so sorry." Like, I met a Peloton instructor once, came out of the studio, and I was outside, and I froze, and my
I
wife
probably
had to
would too.
speak for me.
Oh, I
She was
love it.
so I don't know what I would do if I met Clayton Young and especially Kira D'Amato. I just finished her book
Oh, it's good.
recently. That's so cool. And it's I think you hit the nail on the head when it comes to just what running gives us besides the running portion. I mean, obviously we do the running, we do the races, but outside of that, there's so much community. There's so much joy and happiness and support from people you don't even know too when you're on the course, but even from the people that you do know who really believe in you and try to push you to the finish line. It's unlike anything you see anywhere else. And I love what you said about the pros running on the same course with them is, I think that's such a cool thing because there's no other sport where that happens.
No, and
I think
like
that is the only sport.
2018 Chicago Marathon, Paula Radcliffe was the one who put the medal around my neck. And she said, "Congratulations." And I said, "Oh my goodness, you're Paula Radcliffe." So when I just took a selfie, I was more excited about meeting her than me finishing.
That happened to me actually last year. I finished the race and somehow at the same time, Meb finished the race as well. And I literally finished and looked to my left and I went, holy shit. And I went, Meb, I don't want to bother you. I'm so sorry, but you are one of my heroes and I love your book.
Yeah.
And he was like, let's go get medals. And I was like, okay. And he put the medal around my neck. And I literally was like, this is one of the best days of my life.
Yeah,
Like, I
it
cannot
really
believe
is.
that this
I know.
happened at this moment.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
Paula Radcliffe put a medal around my neck, I probably would cry.
I think I was. I'll try to find the picture. It's so great. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, and I just love how Kara Goucher is like very active on threads. You know, she'll jump into all these conversations. So
Yes.
they're just all people and they're all trying to encourage us. It's so great. I love it.
Yeah. I love that they, no matter whether they've been in the Olympics, won an Olympic medal, won a marathon,
Right.
what have you, they still support the person who is just starting out or is an amateur runner and might not have as much experience because, I mean, they were once there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they want to inspire the next generation of runners to be able to go out there and do what they do, which I think is it's phenomenal. And they really do feel down to earth. It's really weird compared to like you said, an NBA player or NFL player. Like they're
Right.
just like, they seem like just regular people.
Yes.
But they have these like extraordinary talents. So it's just so weird to talk to somebody who's like so normal, but then they'll go out and run like a 5.5 minute mile.
You know, and make it look easy. Yeah, I know.
I think I met somebody who told me that I think it was Chicago. They were doing a shakeout run with a group. And as they were running, I think it was Kira D'Amato and Clayton Young. They were also doing a shakeout run. I think the group was going this way and Kira and Clayton were going the other way. And they're running, probably like a 10-minute, 11-minute mile. And all they see are just these two people just like zoom past them. And they're like, what is that? And it's Clayton Young and Kira D'Amato running like 5:30 miles. It's ridiculous. So it's just so funny. But
Yeah.
I want to go back to the beginning of your running story, right? Back in 2017, when you saw everything at the Chicago Marathon, 2018, when you finally started everything. What is something that you wish you knew when you were just getting started? Something that you would want to tell a brand new runner before, their first half or their first marathon?
Not to be so hung up on pace. Like I think, a lot of times I'm guilty of it too, posting your Stravas for like an easy run. You don't want to go out so hard all the time because you're leaving it all on the trail instead of race day. It's more effort based. And I think, I felt like I fell into the same trap that everybody else falls into when they first start running.
Yeah, pace is very, very difficult to not pay attention to especially when you first start out because you go on social media and it's just like people running 6-minute miles.
Yeah.
And make it look easy running around a track or in a race. And if you are just starting out, like when I started, I could probably run maybe 30 seconds and then I had to walk. Like you see that kind of stuff and you're like, wow, I'm a failure. Like I'm never going to be able to do that. Look at what I can do now. And I think that puts off a lot of people who want to get into running. They see they try once and they're like, fast. And then they just give up. And I tell people just like stick it out. Just every single person I've had on the show has told me running sucks at the beginning. Every single person.
It does suck in the beginning, and then it sucks when you're coming back from injury because you feel like I don't even know how I can even get back to where I was because you have to rebuild fitness. It's you embrace the suck. That's really what you got to do. Embrace the suck. It's part of the process.
That's a perfect line right there. I love that. And I'm kind of doing that right now because my training for the last 2 months and then training for Boston was terrible because we had our baby and I just had to make up things. And then my body just kind of shut down after Boston for a while. And I'm finally now getting back into like actual training. And there are moments where I'm like, am I back at day one? Like when I just started running? Because that's how it feels sometimes. But
I can relate. Boston,
keep
I don't know.
going.
The recovery was rough, and you're not the only one that said that. I don't know what happened, but I was just like,
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be that. And then like I want to throw away my Garmin because it would just tell me my body battery is just not there. Training
Mhm.
readiness. Like, why are you not showing me
Yeah.
any love?
Oh yeah. I tell people that Garmin is the David Goggins of
Yeah,
sports.
it totally
It's
is.
so mean. It's so mean. You'll wake up,
It's so
you'll feel like
mean.
you had the best sleep of your night.
Yeah,
And you look and it's like a score of 35.
yeah, I know.
And it's like, what are you talking about? So yeah, I like it's so difficult at the beginning. But don't let that put you off from starting. Like, yes, it sucks, but it's like any other hobby. Like
Mhm.
you're not going to be good like 100% at the beginning, but you keep working at it, you'll finally be able to, see the growth that you want to see. And it can be difficult.
Yeah.
But if you push through it and you keep going, you'll see the change that comes out of it. Someone is thinking about getting started with running. They see everything that's going on social media. They feel intimidated. They might either just gotten started with their running journey and they're struggling, or they're thinking about getting into it, but they see all this stuff on social media and they're just like, there's no way I could do that. I'm just not going to do it. What would you say to those people to either continue with their journey or to actually get started?
I would say the same thing that I would say to myself when I was first starting is you belong just like I belong. There's room for all of us. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? You're comparing yourself to people who have been doing this for years. It's not going to be immediate, but I promise you the journey will be worth it.
Absolutely. Now, with the journey, I want to know, what do you want every person listening to take away from your story?
Wow, that's a really open-ended question. I think I just want people to always remember why they run. Don't lose that joy in running. Don't be so wrapped up in pace. Don't be so wrapped up in even finishing the 6 stars if that's your goal. Because if it stops being fun, then why are we doing this? Don't lose sight of that. Even though we love running so much, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves and it's really not that serious, right? Because my friends and my family don't care about my pace, as much as I do. Like sometimes I'm afraid of disappointing people or disappointing a coach. But really, as long as I gave it my best for what the day gave me, and that's all that matters. And I should be happy about it. I should be proud. I gave it my best effort. Just like anything in life, you give it your all. And your all might not be the same as your all the next day. Maybe you're capable of only giving 70% one day, and then you're only capable of giving 30% the other day, but it was still your all. And be proud of that. I want you to celebrate the little wins and not just the big wins.
That is perfect. I mean, the little wins end up building up and becoming the big wins, which is something that's really important. I mean, I started out wanting to run 20 minutes without stopping, and it somehow culminated in 17 marathons. Like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a huge jump. So I think that is a perfect thing for people to take away from your journey and your story. And you've been through a lot, and you've dealt with a lot of things, but you're still here, you're still pushing, and you're still inspiring other people. So just thank you for that.
No, but people like you inspire me. I think we lift each other up, and that's what's so great about this running community.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree with you 100%. Now, I know you know what this next part is. This is what I call the hot seat. These are just some quick, fun questions that I ask everybody to help everyone learn a little bit more about you. So don't think too hard about them. Just give me your first answer that comes to the top of your head. First question is trail or road?
Road.
What is your favorite running shoe brand right now?
Saucony.
Actually, I just bought the Saucony Elite Endorphin
Yeah.
Elite 3.
What do you think?
Very bouncy. I ran a 10K race with it last week and finished faster than I had thought I was going to. Didn't hit my goal, but it was faster than I usually have been. And I have 2 races this weekend, and I'm going to use 2 different shoes. I'm going to use that for one race, one for the other.
Nice.
See how it goes.
Well, I'm going to expect an update about that.
I will let you know what I've heard some good things about some of their newest shoes. So I used to be a Saucony guy, or a Saucony
Uh-huh.
person, but then I ripped holes in 2 Saucony Endorphin Elite or Endorphin Pros in 2022 and 2023. So after that, I just gave up on them and went to another company. Now, I think you may have mentioned this earlier, but are you an early alarm or late runner?
Early.
Thought so. And I probably know the answer to this one, but long runs, do you prefer them to be solo or with others?
Actually, solo.
Wow. Actually,
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah. It's the shorter runs that I like. I think I like the solitude.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it lets you just focus on what you're trying to do. And especially if it's a very long training run for a marathon.
Yeah.
I personally would not really want many people near me because I'm probably going to get aggravated. I'm going to get hungry.
There's a
I'm going
little
to
bit
get
of that too.
thirsty.
Yeah, that's a little bit of it too. But it's a shorter distance. I'm not
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, speaking of marathons, what is your favorite post-marathon meal?
cheeseburger.
Okay. Now, since you've run Chicago multiple times, have you gotten a cheeseburger like every time you finish?
No, it's a pizza town.
Okay. Okay. I will say I've never had deep dish pizza.
Okay, Mike, we're gonna have to have a separate conversation about this.
Here's the thing. My wife and I ran Chicago in 2022
Mhm.
and we found this amazing Italian restaurant. It had garlic knot croissants and we were just like blown away by them. They had a deep dish pizza on there on the menu, but it took 45 minutes to make.
Yeah,
And so we decided just to get regular food. We went back last year because we were so excited. We found it. We were looking for it. Finally found it. We went back. Not as good. So we were upset.
that is upsetting.
Yeah.
Well, we're just gonna
So
have to come up with a list. We're gonna have to plan this trip that you've got coming up in October.
I am looking forward to that because we really want good Italian food and I would love to try deep dish pizza.
Yes, we have some homework to do then. Yes.
Yeah, we have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Now, on your easy runs, I think I probably know this. Do you prefer music, podcast, or silence?
You know what? I do a little bit of podcast or music with my shocks, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Actually, I have the Chasing Stars one right here.
Nice.
I haven't used them yet.
You
Because
didn't use them yet?
I use the Open Dots one.
Okay. Yeah.
So I love those. But I have so many Shocks headphones in my house. It's ridiculous.
So do I, and I bought people shocks. I
Me
bought my
too.
dad shocks.
I've given away. I've had people. I had some woman who either had her Shocks stolen. I think they were stolen, like at the gym or something. And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I have an extra pair if you want them. I'll just mail them to you." I'm not sure if
okay.
you know Running Up That Hillary, the account.
Uh-huh.
She needed a pair of headphones for some race she was doing, and she was going to buy them. And I was like, "Listen, I have that same pair. I don't use them anymore. I'll ship them to you." And I sent them to her, and she used them. So I mean, I think I've had like 8 pairs of Shocks at one point. It's ridiculous.
I know. I'm addicted.
They're so good. And don't tell anybody, but I'm potentially going to run the London Marathon with the charity, and Shocks headphones are going to be in the giveaways that I'm going to do for people. You can't see it because I moved the camera, but I have a whole like conglomeration of like 15 things that I'm doing giveaways for.
Well, I am going to do you can't tell anybody either, but I'm going to do a shocks giveaway for my birthday next month.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
Not sponsored by Shocks, but I'll do it my own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. Shocks is in the giveaway and just watches and all this stuff. It's ridiculous. Luckily, I don't have to spend like hopefully too much money, but
Yeah.
I had to raise $9,000 for Boston in 2024.
Wow.
And I run a Peloton group on Facebook that has about like 80,000 members now. And we did so many giveaways. We bought
Nice.
like 50 pieces of merch and went into like $1,000 debt in order to raise money from everybody. We did a giveaway, like a huge one where people buy tickets, and then we selected everybody who won, and then we shipped everything out. It was crazy, but I'm going to do something like that for London.
Yeah.
I also am running New York with a charity because I decided I had a bib already, but that was the last World Marathon Major I haven't run with a charity.
Okay.
So I decided to run with one, and I have to raise $500, which is
for
not
this
bad.
year or for next year?
For this year.
Okay. So you're doing Chicago and New York this fall.
I am doing Chicago, New York, and Philly.
And Philly. Okay. Well, let's just add another one. Yes.
Yeah, I got sponsored by. Do you know For the Run?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got sponsored by them for it.
Nice.
Yeah, I met with the owner, fantastic guy, and I was like, I love your company. I've used this stuff for years, and he was like, "How did you find this?" So I think it was just like an ad, or you came up, but I was like, "Yeah, I'm just looking for somebody to try to help me get into Philly." And he was like, "How much is it?" And I told him, he's like, "I got it." I was like, "Okay." So I'm hoping that we can we're supposed to make a hat together. He was like, "Let's make something and I'll sell it." And I was like, "Cool." But I'm hoping that we make like a custom like singlet for me for Philly. That'd be so cool.
That would be really cool.
But man, I love talking to you. This is so much fun.
I know. We'll have to do a part 2.
What is one piece of running gear that you cannot live without? And you can't say your watch. Or no, you can't say your shoes.
Well, it's probably my watch then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's a burden and a
I know.
benefit at the same time.
I know it torments you, but you know.
I have to put the screen. I have to make it, but I need to put the screen on when I run to just show me like my distance and my heart rate.
Yeah.
If I see pace, I'm just like so focused on that. So I need
Yeah.
to stop doing that. Do you have a dream race?
You know what? I think I don't remember what it's called, but there's this race in Iceland. I think it's
Where you run around the volcano?
yeah, and I think it's you're running in the middle of the night, but it's daylight still.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that'd
I've
be
heard
awesome.
about this, and
Yeah, I
I
forgot what
want to
the
do
race
it
is called.
too.
Yes, we should do it together.
I'm down. My wife keeps telling me she wants to go to Iceland so bad because she loves volcanoes.
Yes, we should do this. We should really look into this. We
We
could put a
should. We
shocks team
should. I'll
together.
tell I'll tell my wife, and we should figure this out. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, if you could run that race with anybody, who would it be?
Dina Castor. I get
Now,
so inspired talking to her, you know.
this next section are pieces of information that I gather from everybody to share with listeners and people online to help inspire them. The first is what I call the motivation library. So if you could pick one quote, a mantra, or a line that gets you through the tough miles, what would it be?
You know, I don't know if you noticed, like on social media, I took a picture of my gels because I had stickers on each gel for mantras. And every time I took a gel, like I wouldn't know which one was going to come up. And so the one that I really liked during Boston was like, I am a warrior. So I love these I am statements. And when I first was sick, I still have post it notes around my house that say, I am healthy. I am loved. I am strong. So I think it's just important to have these I am, like put it out there and say them to yourself.
Now, you said you might run Chicago. Let's say that you are, and you are running up that tiny hill that they have.
Roosevelt, Mount Roosevelt.
Absolutely horrible, terrible. And you're getting to the finish line. What song is blasting through your headphones?
At that point, nothing is blasting through my headphones because that is the 800-meter marker. And I want to hear the announcer say, you are about to finish the Chicago Marathon. And every time I get choked up, I don't want to hear music at that time. The crowd is roaring by mile 24, 25. They are roaring already. You are so close and you don't want music anymore. You want the music of the people that are just cheering for you. It's amazing. And I get, at that moment, I'm always getting emotional. It never gets old and it feels just like the first time, every time.
Yes, I got chills right now thinking about crossing these finish lines.
I know.
Dude, it's just so wonderful. Like I'm thinking about every race, like
Yeah.
each of the World Marathon majors. It's so different. Like you got the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, got Buckingham Palace in London.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's
Berlin haunts me though, because I thought the Brandenburg Gate was the finish.
mm,
But I was just like, wait, we're not done yet.
yes, it's so funny when people pass through it because they're like, "I'm finished," and then you're like, "Oh,
No, I know I got it. And it's not close. I don't know. So I was okay when I was on Boylston. I wanted to own it.
Mhm.
Because it was just so important to me. And I threw my arms up in the air and I never do that. And I was just like, oh, I'm just going to pretend this crowd is just cheering for me. But then I felt like the finish line just kept moving backwards.
Yeah. Oh my God, when you turn on the Boylston, you're like, "I'm on Boylston," and you're like,
I know.
"Finish line's all
It's
the way down there."
so far. Why do you keep it moving?
So it's so funny. Like with New York, it's hysterical because it's like
Yeah,
you run through Central Park
right.
and you're like, "I'm almost done," and then you come out of Central Park
Yeah,
and then you run up and then you come back into Central Park
yeah,
and then you're like, "I'm almost done," and then there's a big hill.
yeah.
It's like, oh my God, can we please just like get this finish, man? It's so funny.
It's like that New York attitude, like
Yes,
coming right at you.
exactly. Exactly. Now these last two questions are about the essence really of this podcast.
Mhm.
And to help others understand just why running is important to your life. The first question is, what has running given you that you didn't expect when you first started?
I didn't expect that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I think my family thought I was a little crazy when I said I wanted to run a marathon. And I don't know if they thought I could stick it out. But usually when people doubt me, that's when I want to prove them wrong. But really, I think I wanted to prove it to myself too. And it's incredible because I'm the person that didn't want to run a mile in high school. And I was never considered the athlete at all. I was the nerdy student, who liked theater, who liked, doing things like that and not.
Same.
Yeah, so you wouldn't think that I would be the one doing this. And it feels like a dream sometimes. And I just don't want to wake up because it just feels so amazing.
Yes. Yeah. That's so funny. I was a theater kid too. I did music. I played
Yeah.
instruments, and I
Yeah.
hated sports. Hated sports.
Hated it. Yeah. I didn't get it.
I was in marching band, and so I would have to be at the football games, and I would just be like, I don't care about any of this. This is still. I would bring like a book with me because I'd be like, I'm not going to pay attention to this game. This is ridiculous, man.
And look at you now.
No,
You're
seriously.
coaching.
If you had told me 30 years ago, 25 years ago that this would be like what I would be doing, I would say you are out of your mind. Ridiculous, because it's like, are you like, I've never liked sports ever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And you were
now
so in it.
It's crazy.
I know.
Now, my last question for you is very ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
So however it hits you, just, give me the best answer you have. Why do you run?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it would be cliche to say I run because I can. Well, even now, I don't know if there will be a time where I can't, and I want to enjoy it as long as I can. And I don't want to worry about when they tell me I can't. I still feel strong. It gives me peace. It's my happy place. It's indescribable, really. It's so hard to just put it in just a few words because it's given me so much more than I feel like I've given it. Yeah, I don't know. I got involved with charities because of it. I've always done charitable work and I've always done volunteer work, but I was able to connect to other organizations because of it. I'm able to help other people. I love going to local races, and sometimes, I have on the schedule a longer run. I love going back on the course and helping others cross the finish line. I know it's just like the little silly things that just make me so happy. I love when runners who are just starting and I could give them advice. I'm also certified, level 1 RCA, but I'm not actively taking on athletes right now, but I love giving advice. I love helping them out. I love making people feel like they can do it too. It's so amazing. And I want to treat them like the athlete that they are. I think, sometimes when the back of the Packers, they don't feel like they're athletes because they're not posting those times. They're just as much an athlete and they're putting in the work. They want to learn, and I want to give them their props as well.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate them. They might not be podium, but sometimes I feel like they're on their feet longer. I feel like it's
Absolutely
harder.
Yeah. I've heard pro runners say that the runners that they look up to the most are those back at the Packers because they, a pro will run for 2 hours to 2.5 hours. These other back of the Packers are 6 hours, and
Yeah.
they are on 3 times as long on the course, two times as long. And that takes a lot of grit, and it takes a lot of resilience and motivation to just keep going. So
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And the aid stations might not be there. They're worried that the aid stations won't be there. They might have to carry all their nutrition on them. The crowds aren't there. They are digging so deep, and that's why I love New York so much, is because you're celebrating the back of the Packers. It's a big party. I think it should be like that all the time.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to find a way to go to New York this fall.
Well, if you do, let me know, because I'll be there for a couple days.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Abigail, I really want to thank you. This was an amazing conversation, and I think people are going to walk away from this episode really realizing something important, not just about running, but just life in general, and that you can also be more than one thing. You could chase more than one dream, and that you could be an artist and you can be an athlete. You can be a performer and the person that's grinding for long runs at like 5 a.m.
And a bunny mom. Yes.
Exactly.
All of that.
Exactly. I'm going to say that, it's a very, very powerful message. But if people can follow you at Abigail Michelle, all one word, you follow for your training, your racing, your work, and like you said, your bunny.
Yeah, my bunny.
You can also support the brands that she partners with, and you probably would be able to steal a little bit of energy for whatever your next finish line looks like, based off of the motivation and the support that Abigail provides people. Abigail, keep showing up the way that you do, because the running community is very, very lucky to have you. And to everyone listening, You do not have to pick a lane. You can run, you can dream, you can build, you can become more than one thing at once and keep moving and keep stacking finish lines. Abigail,
Mike,
again,
thank you
thank you.
so much for having me. I have nothing but love for you, and you're such a blessing in my life. And thank you
Appreciate
so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much. And that is a wrap on this episode of At Your Own Pace. I cannot thank Abigail enough for coming on here and just having just an incredible conversation with her. She is such a light in the world and just so sweet and nice to talk to. And I left that conversation feeling so much happier than before I had it. So Abigail, I know that you say thank you. I know you thanked me for having you on the show, but I genuinely I have to thank you because of just how much joy speaking to you brought to me. And thank you also for listening to, me talk about Glenn and me processing his passing. And it means a lot to me for those of you that listen to that portion of the podcast to want to know more about me and to hear what my story is like. So I cannot thank you enough. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But next week is episode 15. Each season is 15 episodes long. So next week's episode is the season finale of season 2 of At Your Own Pace. And boy, is my guest incredible. I'm so excited to introduce you to them, but I'm going to keep you all in suspense for now because I'm really proud of this. I wanted to release this episode so much earlier, but I kept it inside because I wanted to figure out how to make it important because it's someone that I look up to tremendously and someone that I love. They are just a great person. And many of you know them, maybe not physically, but you might know them digitally. That's the only hint I'm going to give you. But if there is one thing that I hope that you take away from this episode, it's that there's no such thing as too slow, too late, or too far behind. You are right on time, heading at your own pace. And that, this sport belongs to you exactly as you are, wherever you're starting from. And every mile counts. And so do you. If this episode moved you, made you think, or made you want to lace up, just do me a favor, share it with someone who needs to hear it, follow the show, leave a review, and then come find me at Mike Runs Marathons over on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, and Facebook. And I would love to hear your story. I'm currently in the process of taking on people for season 3, which if you had asked me, when is this? July now? If you had asked me 7 months ago if I would be a podcast host and would have gotten through 30 episodes of talking to essentially random people and sharing their stories, I would have said you were nuts. But doing this has been one of the greatest joys of my life right now. But if you would like to be on the show for season 3, shoot me a message on social media and we'll set something up. But until then, please take care of yourself. Be kind to the person running next to you. Keep showing up at your own pace and turn those some days into right now.